r/AskReddit, what is the most abhorrent thing you've ever personally witnessed someone say? I honestly don't know how I'd react hearing this in a public setting. I'd feel the heat start up my neck and into my face, and then who knows what. It would not be nonchalant. It would be very, very callant. You're not good looking enough to have been sexually assaulted. In 2019, an Italian court ruled that a woman was too ugly to be raped. Link. Didn't do nothing wrong. In the Bible they took women when they got their first periods. A bunch of local boys asked me to come with them to chase a pedophile out of town. He was a church youth minister. So who said that line? The youth minister? Don't tell the police, because this kind of thing will impact his reputation and have huge consequences for the rest of his life. To a rape victim who shared details of the assault for the first time. Rapists deserve to have their reputations ruined and their lives fucked up. Actions have consequences, and one hell of a nasty action deserves one hell of a nasty consequence. If he actually assaulted you, you must have done something to provoke him. You should know better. I was 11 and my mother called him her brother. He and his wife let us live with them, so she let him SA me, because where else could we go? When I brought it back up at 16, she beat me for lying and making her look bad, then grounded me, pretty much locked me in the house unless I was at school, for 6 months. So sorry to hear that. Hope you're in a safer environment and better place now. My brother, my deeply religious mother's golden and favorite child, died. My mother was in hysterics and kept shouting out, "My son. My only son is dead," to the priest who was trying to comfort her. Guess who brought her to the chapel at her request? Me and my younger brother. My uncle's drunk second wife told me, "You know, Hitler had the right idea, just the wrong race." We weren't close. Which race was the correct one? Ouch. My grandmother told me she was glad my dad died so she didn't have to pay for his medicine anymore. This sucks and I'm sorry for your loss, but part of me does hope it was a product of being beaten down spiritually and emotionally and not because your grandmother actually enjoyed his death. My own grandmother spent many years being the primary caretaker for her husband, my grandfather, and I saw how it exhausted her in so many ways. A black friend of mine lost his son to suicide. I heard someone say, "Good, that's one less." That's enough to warrant everyone in the vicinity beating the shit out of this dude. I don't care that you broke your elbow. He's gonna say it. My dad is sad he won't get grandchildren. My sister has kids. She's just not biologically related to him. Classic. Your brother wouldn't be dead if he had still believed in God. My mom, about my brother, who was killed by a man who did fentanyl and meth and then decided to drive on the freeway the wrong way. My dad said the same thing about my brother who died in a motorcycle accident. He wonders why we aren't closer. My mom to me at 17 years old when I told her I was suicidal and really depressed, "You were a mistake, I shouldn't have had you. I'm so sorry." Edit, autocorrect mistake. Someone from my dad's church told my dad that his brother didn't go to heaven because he had killed himself. This same person also knew that my dad was the one who found his brother dead and had to call the cops, and clean up the mess. I don't know what prompted this man to say this, but I will never forget it. It's always the Christians, there's just something about them. How does someone not kick 7 shades of shit out of someone for saying that? While we were walking out of our church service, immediately after my Spanish teacher told my parents that I was one of her top students and an absolute pleasure to have in her class, my dad responds to her by saying if he cuts out of line, by all means, beat the shit out of him for me. I had to beg my Spanish teacher to not call Child Protective Services on him, since if she did, and he got into any trouble for it, things would get infinitely worse than they already were. My own mother. When Roe v. Wade was decided, she said she wished it was passed 13 years prior. I was 12. My ex's girlfriend told my sons that it was my fault their sister died. My mom used to tell me and my sister that she should have aborted us when we were in elementary school. It was one of her go-to lines. It's no mystery why I struggle immensely with mental health issues. Thanks, Mom. Jesus. My mom told me I'd come home to her hanging in the bathroom because I was super anxious about going to school and didn't want to leave. That's rather counterproductive. I'm sure you'd feel more anxiety, and therefore not go, at the thought of returning home to that. I worked blue collar in Florida. One time a black coworker named Nigel, one employee of the quarter, later a white employee, came up with a video of Africans dancing and said, "Look, Nigel's village is celebrating." Jesus fucking Christ. My earliest memory was my dad telling me he wasn't adamant enough to my mom when I was conceived for her to abort me. I think I was around 5. My dad and I don't talk. They ought to string that NR up from a tree and cut his balls off. My dad said a lot of awful things, but that may be the worst. When my parents were showing off my older brother's prom pics, one of our neighbors said about his date that she wouldn't be half bad if you cut her head off. This was a man in his 60s talking about a teenaged girl. What the fuck? My aunt told me if my mother had aborted me, she wouldn't be dead. My mom was murdered by her husband, not sure what I had to do with it. She also told me I was going to end up just like my mom. She had a brain tumor and I don't know how much of the things she said were actually her, or the tumor talking, but I don't really care. She died last month and I'm not super sad about it. My ex wasn't the biggest fan of my old roommate. Out of nowhere she said she's the type of girl who gets raped. I broke up with her soon afterwards. My mother, to me, you have no future worth investing in. That was 10 years ago this year, and I've thought about it every single day since. My mother to me 5 days after a breakup that left me destroyed and in pieces. Your ex-GF made the best decision of her life. When I said a relationship should be a compromise, girl straight face said no, it's all about me. That girl 10 years later, why doesn't anyone like me? A mother referred to her daughter as the fat one. The shooting happened at Sandy Hook because schools don't allow prayer, so they don't allow God in. Pretty sure that was probably the worst thing I personally heard. I lost a friend that day because I told her exactly what I thought. My mom telling me I was her divorce celebration and the cutest accident ever. The cop who told me I wasn't pretty enough for my rapist to have raped me. Okay, but that first one is kinda cute in a messed up way. You weren't part of the plan, but damn were you cute and I was happy to have you. Probably my dad when he said he picked the wrong kid to abort. When I miscarried my second pregnancy, people at my church actually told me that I must have some sin that I hadn't confessed to God that caused me to not be worthy of a child. As if a miscarriage is a just punishment. I'm out of religion now, but that still hits me hard every once in a while. I've now had 6 miscarriages and a stillbirth, and I know they aren't my fault. Still. They are so wrong. There are lots of affair babies alive, so sin has nothing to do with it. Just random, sad events. A bar supervisor to teenage colleague. If you don't do what I ask, I'll cut your mum and rape your sister. Doesn't even sound like something a real person would say. Also, same guy to a young female colleague, I'll let you leave first if you suck my dick. I was present for both of these. This is sexual harassment. I hope that supervisor fell dick first into a box of live tasers and razor wire. Co-worker at the library suggested a book discussion club where they read The Tattooist of Auschwitz and then all go out and get number tattoos. The wrong kid died from walk hard IRL. I have heard a mother say to her child, "This is why I beat you, motherfucker." My folks never gave me a reason. Hello everyone. Thanks for sticking to the end of this video. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to humbly ask you to subscribe to the channel. According to my statistics, 100% of my viewers in the past 28 days are not subscribed. I have always wanted this channel to reach 1,000 subscribers, and if you want to support and be a part of that, subscribe. It's free and it's an awesome way to support the channel. Thanks again, Reddit glitch out.